What changes did you put in place over the winter?
Well, last year I finished. Last year was my first year on the 250, the WMX series. So that was a change, and like you said, it was a learning year. I didn't really feel confident, but I finished 7th overall. And this winter we worked hard physically, but also on the bike. So I had a lot more bike training. And going into Metally Basin, I was really feeling very confident. So, and that showed off like 3rd and 5th in the races. So that was really good. And then going to Valkenswaard, my home GP. It started the first moto not so good because I crashed with the start, but the second moto I showed some good stuff, and even I rode a few laps on the second position, and I finished 5, so that was really good.
What are your feelings to nail that first corner?
Well, the first year at WMX, I was on the 125, and I wanted to take a good start, but it just didn't work out because I was on the 125. But then on the 250, it was getting a much better, a better bike. So I was more in front, and yeah, that really helps a lot when you want to get a good result. So the start is really important, and I did 3 good starts out of 4 so far. So let's keep that going.
The race was so one of the toughest in the world. What can you pinpoint as those major challenges over the 12 days?
So, like you said, going back to what you first said, is the preparation. People always say getting to Dakar is the hardest part before you even got to the start line. I mean, it was 2.5 years of preparation for me. In that we've got to find the funding, you've got to put together the sponsors with the proposals, and it takes a lot of time. I had never raced 12 days in a row in my life. I don't think many people have. We get on the bikes and we train consecutively day in and day out, but I was riding 12 hours a day on the bike for 12 days in a row with that one rest day in between. And to mentally prepare yourself for something like that, I was lucky that coming from hard enduro, I could prepare, when you get to those stages where you don't feel like you can carry on anymore, and, you just have to carry on going. Whereas from hard enduro, you get put into those stages and put into those dark places all the time in races like Romaniacs and Roof of Africa and Sea to Sky, and having done all those races for the last 5-6 years really made me feel that I was mentally prepared. For me to be riding in really cold conditions, I wasn't equipped for it, nor was I prepared for it. That's probably something that got to me the most, was the cold mornings and even the days. I mean, some of the days the max temperature got up to 18 degrees, and I know you guys from Europe, 18 degrees is warm, but for me, our winters get to 18, and for us that's cold. But at the end of the day, I was going there to finish, and there was no way that I was not going to finish.
You may have just missed the podium for a couple of points.
Yeah,
it's tough. Anyway, this is Lynn at Metally Basin.
But she was being caught by the Yamahas of Larissa Papameyer and Lynn Valk.
Metally Basin, I missed the podium with 1 point, equal points with the 4. So I was happy, but also a little bit disappointed that I missed the podium. But it was the first race of the year, so I was also happy. But also in Valkenswaard, like I said, I crashed the first moto with the start, and I was like angry, and I get as soon as possible on the bike again and start my race. I came from last to 7th, so I was racing my race and tried to pass as fast as possible, and it did. I finished 7th, so it was still some good points.
How did you manage the different terrain?
So in that clip you guys just saw, that for me is the stuff that made me smile, because as you can see in that video there were like guys scattered everywhere, and coming from a hard enduro background, the tougher the terrain got in terms of the thicker the sand, the rockier it was, the steeper the climbs, the worse the downhills were. That's when I felt that I made up a lot of time. And at Dakar now, you know, from the previous Dakars, I had heard that like Peru, the last year was 100% sand, and it was like, I mean, apparently the hardest, most technical sandy climbs, super thick sand, and like that sort of stuff made me really excited about what Saudi Arabia had to offer.
Have you grown up riding that type of sand track?
Yeah, I've always rode sand tracks. Like the Netherlands, the most 90 to 100% is sand. So I love sand tracks. But definitely Valkenswaard was tough. It was so much raining, and also Medley Basin. It should be hard packed, but it was like all muddy and sketchy. And Valkenswaard, it was, yeah, tough. There was so much rain. So I prefer to ride in the rain. It doesn't matter to me. You know, I grow up with it. The winter seasons, it's always raining here. So that, I think it was good for me that it was raining, but I would want it also without rain, to see what would happen.
I think you need to give me some lessons on how to ride ruts. I can't ride ruts. I fall over and I stick my legs out, and then I wobble and I fall over.
Yeah, in Valkenswaard there was a lot of ruts, and before the second moto on Sunday, they flat the track, so it was, yeah, the track was pretty flat on Sunday, but still pretty fast. The lines came in, and it was a struggle for everyone.
The Netherlands, flying start for the Yamaha of Larissa Papenmeijer. Duncan right there in second. Lynn Valk was...
That's honestly one of my weaknesses, and I've got to get on a motocross track, and I just stick into a line every time and hit that same line lap after lap, and like you say, ride ruts and jumps, and you doing jumps with ruts and jumps. Those are like two of my worst things. So a combination of that, I won't even go near the track. So big respect to what you guys are doing, and like I said, at such a young age to be where you are now, like I said, I can't wait to watch you really take on those other girls worldwide.
Yeah, I think it's like you say, the ruts and the jumps. I think when you're in a race, you don't really think about it. It's just go for the jump. But I think for me, it's to see Dakar. It's I think it's difficult.
Well, in the
Very
conditions
difficult.
you ride in, and you like sand, and you can go fast, so you've got already 2 out of the 3 boxes ticked. All you need to learn now is to be ride on it for endurance, to ride long, and you got it. You know, they say the best enduro riders are motocross riders, because you guys already have that skill of handling a motorbike, braking, cornering, and body positioning, and you know how to go fast. So it's just a matter of learning endurance, which comes over time. It's not hard. You know how to train really hard. And then riding technical stuff, which is just line choice, just like riding ruts. So it's, I think for you guys, you maybe one day when you're older and you're retired from motocross, you can take up the Dakar Rally.
Yeah, maybe, who knows?
How did you manage to keep things in perspective, knowing that the goal was to get to the finish?
So for me, I went in there with the mentality of each day is a new race. So I wasn't thinking of it. It is in your mind, but I would go, stage 1 is one race. We finish that day, and then we move on to the next day. I never thought about stage 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When the race day came, it was, I was working towards each day as a race, knowing that the race day, looking forward to the race day, because when that race day came, it was so welcomed to be able to just wake up the next morning and have a lie in and just cool off. And it was really important for me, because that second part of the rally was the hardest part of the rally by far. Our courses have blinkers on and they don't see anything near to their side, and I'm sure you feel the same way when you race. Then on the start line, it's just you focusing on your goal and what you want to do. It was the same thing, that 12 days went by so quickly, but you're just so focused on what you're there to do that nothing else really matters. You know, you're there to finish, and you will do whatever it takes to get there.
Saudi? How do you break down racing over such a long period of time?
I think that was the main problem from last year, because last year we had like 8 weeks gap, and I think I lost myself a little bit, so the last rounds was not so good. But yeah, for now it's for the same for everybody, you know. I try to do as much cycling and watch some videos back and home gym, but it's a difficult situation right now. But 6 races otherwise we had this year, but also I had the Dutch Championship. It was new this year. 6 races, and also the European Championship, like 5 races, I think. So that it would have been a pretty busy season if this wouldn't happen. But yeah, I'm excited to get back racing because I really miss it.
And in that, I think my next biggest thing will definitely be to prepare for Erzberg Rodeo, because that is such a big race, and it's one of the biggest extremes in the world.
Definitely, I want to become a world champion. And for this year, I set my goals like I wanted to do the top 5 at the end of the year, but I also wanted to do maybe a few podiums. We have to see how that goes, if we're even able to go riding again. But I definitely made the goals, and I hope I can achieve them. You know, become a world champion in one day.